Welcome to Werner-Boyce Salt Springs State Park. Established in 1992, the park protects about 4 miles of pristine coastline along the Gulf Coast of Pasco County. Our journey today will take us to Hope Bayou in the central portion of the park. This is a remote area, almost 2 miles from any public road, and the only way to access it is by boat or by hiking across the salt flats and marshes. A tidal creek flows about a half mile from Hope Bayou and empties into the Gulf of Mexico. While you're watching the aerial view of our journey north to our starting point, here's an area map showing Hope Bayou in relation to the state park visitor area about 2 miles to the south. As we approach the mouth of the Hope Bayou Creek, you can see that the water is very shallow. This video was taken at a low tide when much of the sand flats leading from the creek into the Gulf can be out of water. If you plan to come to this area by motorboat, you'll need to time the tides very carefully to make sure you arrive on a rising high tide. And make sure you have a shallow draft boat, or you may end up spending a few hours waiting for enough water to get back out again. Tides are even a factor here when coming by kayak or canoe, because the entire mouth of the creek may be nothing but a sandbar with an extra low tide. Once into the creek, you can see that it becomes deeper, but lush seagrass beds may make the going tough except at high tide levels. Werner-Boyce Salt Springs State Park is home to 12 creeks in all. They are all tidal in nature, meaning that water flows upstream or toward the coast when the tide is coming up, and the flow is out toward the Gulf on an outgoing tide. The southernmost creek, Salt Spring Run, is also spring-fed, but the spring flow is so low that it does not affect the tidal nature of the creek. Going north from Salt Spring Run, the next stream is Double Hammock Creek, then Pound Net Creek, and then Hope Bayou Creek, where we are now. As you can see, there are several large mangrove islands in Hope Bayou. We'll be staying to the right on our journey and heading to a remote shelter that was first established by the West Coast Airboat Club quite a few years ago. The structure was rebuilt into a permanent shelter in 2013 by Salt Springs Alliance, the citizen support group of the state park. It now has a metal roof, concrete slab floor, and picnic tables. This remote shelter is also available as a layover point and primitive campsite by travelers on the Florida Circumnavigational Saltwater Paddling Trail. There is no charge to use the campsite. call the park at 727-816-1890 if you plan to overnight at the shelter. The shelter is still used occasionally by the Airboat Club, and it is common to see airboats within the boundaries of the park. Numerous airboat trails connect the various ponds and streams within the park, so keep an eye and ear out for airboats if you're kayaking. I hope you enjoyed our trip to Hope Bayou today. If you would like to explore more of Werner-Boyce Salt Spring State Park, the best way would be by kayak. The park, which has a main entrance off of US Highway 19 in Port Richey, has a kayak rental concession available, or you can bring your own watercraft and launch it from the park. Another option would be to put in at Port Richey's Brasher Park at the end of Coons Drive. Either way, I know you'll enjoy discovering the tidal creeks, salt flats, and wildlife this pristine area has to offer.